Good afternoon, Jay.
Reed?
I'm assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you've probably rewatched all or large portions of that game on video. I'm wondering if you have any observations or anything has stood out to you that maybe you hadn't processed last night.
Didn't look any better on video than it did in person, I can tell you that.
Are there a bunch of teachable moments? Like, are you going to show players large chunks of that game, small chunks of that game, or try to get them to mentally just move on from it? How do you approach going over?
You know, we've sat and we've met already. We've addressed the things that needed to be addressed. Pride ourselves on holding each other competitively accountable, and for us, that game last night was well below what our standard is. And you know, we've met, we've addressed it, flushed it, move on to tomorrow.
Jay, I'm a firm believer that you learn more from failure than success, and I've got a lot of experience with this because I've had a lot of failure over the years. But just a thought on: is it easier to teach? And like Nick Saban will talk about when you don't want to hammer the team when they're down off it because you don't want to get to their heart with it.
Yeah.
So how tricky is that navigating in terms of getting the message across? Does that even need to happen?
Well,
at this stage.
Well, I think. Yes, it does need to happen. We're not happy with the way we played yesterday. So I don't believe in sweeping things under the rug. I believe in being direct and open and upfront and to tell the truth. But that's okay. Close teams can have those kinds of conversations, and close teams, they know when they haven't lived up to a certain type of standard. And there's not a person yesterday, coaches, players, that feel good about the result of that game. We think we've had a real good month here in Edmonton. But the way we played last night was nowhere near our standard, nowhere near the level of desperation and urgency required to win in the NHL, let alone execution. But that game has been played, it has been digested, it has been taught from. Now it's on us to make sure that we have a good day tomorrow to set up practice heading into Saturday night.
A little housekeeping item for you. Any update at this time on Dylan Holloway?
I saw Dylan. I haven't talked to the doctors yet, but I don't anticipate it being anything major at all. I expect him to play on Saturday night.
The result, obviously, you've talked about the effort level and that being kind of right at the top of the list of problems. As you're implementing some new tweaks to the system here and there, did you see things in your own end that you just think are going to take a little bit of time for your group to get used to or work out, or was it just strictly?
You know what's interesting? I think we spent very little time in our own zone yesterday. In fact, I think we had double the amount of O-zone time that we spent in our D-zone. So I didn't see breakdowns of the D-zone variety. I saw a couple breakout turnovers. I saw, a couple rush reads that have to be a whole lot better, but I didn't see a whole lot of zone time in our own end. I think that's one area for us, I would say, is just, cleaning up different parts of our game. But the meeting that we had with our team today didn't go anywhere near systems. It went to effort. It went to, and when I say that, I'm just talking about how regular season hockey is different than preseason hockey, and how we understand, given our recent history and players that we have and our potential here in Edmonton, that's the type of game we should expect to see on a nightly basis from our opponents. And we're disappointed that we didn't meet the competitive level of last night's game. But as I said earlier, that's one game. That happened last night. It didn't sit well this morning. We've gone through it. We've taught off of it. Now we flush it. And the good news is that we get a chance or another crack at that same team coming into our building here on Saturday night in front of the best fans in the world.
Those happen to most teams through the course of the season. You have these sort of one-off nights.
don't go right.
Yeah.
Is it kind of odd for it to happen right out of the gate, and do you take it more seriously or handle it any different, given it was the first game and there was all this buildup?
You know, I think the buildup comes from the media. I think the buildup might come from the fan bases in both cities and whatnot. But I think for us, we understand that to meet the challenges of an 82-game schedule, you're going to understand there's going to be some off nights. Now, what was interesting about last night, it was an off night for everybody. Sometimes an individual has an off night, or a line has an off night, or a D pair, or a special team. It was an off night for everybody. We don't feel good about it. It is what it is. We'll learn from it and move on.
Jay, especially in the early part of the season, a lot of days between games. I know after results like last night, guys want to play right away. You get that extra day. Is it annoying, irritating for you as a coach? Because I'm assuming you want to get back after it as well. And unfortunately, it has to sit for an extra day, even though you want to flush it.
Well, you can look at it like that way. I would say that's a glass half empty kind of viewpoint.
Fair.
I think the yin to that yang would be, well, we get a day to work on some things. And clearly there's some things that need touched up. You know, today is a recovery day. A couple guys are going to go on the ice, and others are going to get their off-ice recovery. But tomorrow is when we'll practice, and we'll be ready Saturday night. I have complete faith in our people.
Does anything that happened last night take away from what you felt was an overall, positive 6 weeks in looking at the camp as a whole? You still feel good about that, regardless of what might have transpired?
Yeah, I think our players are serious. Nobody is happy with what happened. And it's ironically the first regular season game where that happened. But it did happen. We accept it. We own it. We weren't good enough. We've learned our lesson from it. And I would expect a much more competitive showing from our team on Saturday night.
Hey, Jay, when you scored to make it 4-1, you kind of felt a little bit of momentum to turn your way. Any concern or surprise that you didn't maybe run with that a little bit more?
Yeah, I am. I thought we had some chances to do it. I think in games like that, typically you earn your breaks or your chances. And, we had some go off our shin pad here and there, and all that type of stuff happens. And I don't know that we had a consistent enough or a hard enough effort to earn some of the breaks you need to come back from a situation like that. We were able to make it 4-1, but in my mind, you can't spot a good team that type of lead and expect to win. So we realize that. We expect a better start on Saturday.
And just, did you have a certain game plan with your goaltenders going into games 1 and 2?
Yep.
As what you wanted to do, and does that kind of plan still stay in place moving forward here?
Yes, it does. Yeah, we said, we've said it all along. It's a 2-goalie league. We expect a good amount of games from both goalies. That training camp was an open competition. It was. We started Jack yesterday. He's part of our team, and Stewart's part of our team, and all of us yesterday are capable of more, including the coaching staff.
So would you say, Stuart, are you safe to say that you're just going to say
We're
when the gate opens, or
sleep
what?
on it? We'll sleep on it and then come to a decision.
You had mentioned after one or two of the exhibition games, you didn't love the penalties, some of the penalties that your team was taking.
Yep.
I know it's very early, but some signs, maybe some discipline issues creeping in here or there. Where do you have a concern level about any of that?
I thought yesterday we took some needless penalties in the third period when the game was out of reach. I thought it was ones that we didn't need to take. It put stress on different parts of our games. But sometimes in games like that, those things happen. I don't see it being a huge issue, but we also know we can't be killing 6 penalties a night, especially against a good power play like Vancouver's.
Connor expressed a bit of, I'll use the word frustration after the game, that in a 6-1 game, Vancouver would have their number 1 power play unit on the ice. As a coach, how do you see that situation?
Yeah, I really don't worry about what other teams decide, but, you put that one in the memory bank and you never know when that gets repaid.
Just lastly for me, Matthias Ekholm, is he trending towards being available here? Do you think you might have him for the weekend?
Yeah, I think he had a good day yesterday. He's having a good day today. We'll see where he is tomorrow, but he's in a really good place. And obviously, we've slow played him here for a little bit.